Have you considered stopping hormonal birth control, but you're afraid of the backlash that might happen when you do so? If so, I have the course for you. So, I discontinued hormonal birth control after a long time pill user. I used hormonal birth control for about 25 years. And ultimately, what made me decide to stop was being diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. And so often I feel like that's what happens to us as women is something begins to go haywire with our health that leads us to believe that the hormonal birth control has something to do with it. And this is true whether you're taking the pill, whether you have an IUD, or whether you have an intravaginal ring. Because contrary to what your HCP may tell you, each one of these releases synthetic hormones into your bloodstream. The IUD and the intravaginal ring are not locally deposited hormones. They're locally deposited that then get swept up into your bloodstream. They bypass first pass metabolism. And this makes it so that the metabolites from those synthetic estrogens and synthetic progesterones in the IUD and intravaginal ring are different than the metabolites when you take the pill orally. So, in many ways, there is much more scientific literature out there for pill users than there is for women who are using an IUD or an intravaginal ring. And then, of course, the one that we haven't even mentioned yet is the depot shot. Now, I am a pharmaceutical formulation development scientist. I've been in this industry for the past 13 years now. And even prior to that, I am a chemical engineer by training, Georgia Tech educated, Georgia Tech alum here, and proceeded to uh, do additional education in the field of organic synthesis. So I know quite a bit about chemistry. I know quite a bit about how to read research articles and look at the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of how a pharmaceutical is broken down within your body. And so, and because of my own health journey in long-term pill use and also what happened when I discontinued hormonal birth control, which many healthcare practitioners would say that I cannot definitively state that my Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, or Raynaud's syndrome, which if you're not familiar with Raynaud's, this is where your fingers and your toes actually go white because of loss of circulation because those small capillaries are constricting down and preventing blood flow. So while many HCPs would argue and say that there's no definitive link between Hashimoto's and Raynaud's for me and long-term use of hormonal contraceptives, what is very clear is that I had never had a UTI until I discontinued hormonal birth control. And then within 2 weeks of discontinuing hormonal birth control, I developed my first ever UTI. And it took me about a year and a half, 5 different healthcare practitioners to finally realize on my own that the root cause of the problem was I now had disrupted sugar metabolism because I had used hormonal birth control for so long. And if there's anything that I could do, anything that I could say to convince you to stop hormonal birth control now, I hope one of those two things is it. Either that definitive link to dysregulated blood sugar, and again, that appeared within 2 weeks of me discontinuing hormonal birth control, or, that somewhat maybe link between a diagnosis of an autoimmune thyroid condition, Hashimoto's, or development of Raynaud's, which has an autoimmune component, and long-term use of hormonal birth control. Now, what I've done is put together a program to guide you through and support you through the process of discontinuing hormonal birth control. And again, whatever that looks like, whether you're a pill user, whether you're an IUD user, whether you're intravaginal ring, or even the depot shot. And this is information that I have learned myself in preparation of coming off the pill, and that I got a crash course in through my own health journey when I discontinued hormonal birth control. The biggest of those, so in this program, we actually break down quite a few things. The program starts out with how to support your body's natural detox processes to eliminate those synthetic estrogens, eliminate those synthetic progesterones from your body. And it will include a conversation around supplements that are all the rage right now, like DIM, and that indole that is often coupled with DIM. So DIM is diindole methane. If you're not familiar with it, it's something that is all the rage for helping your body detox estrogen. And we'll talk about, why I'm not crazy about it, especially as somebody who has low estrogen, and why I think it's better to go about just supporting your body's natural processes rather than introducing supplements into your system, especially when you're first detoxing. So we'll talk about how your body detoxes. This will include an Eastern mindset modality as well, because I have training in Ayurveda in addition to my very significant training in the realm of science, of Western science. I mean, uh, what is the word for that? Categorize that. So in addition, there's a module in this program is dedicated to PCOS, because hormonal birth control often exacerbates PCOS. So we'll talk about, what do you do if you discontinue hormonal birth control and then you're kind of thrown in a lurch and all of a sudden your PCOS is worse than it was when you started hormonal birth control, and you started it with being told that this was going to help you regulate PCOS. So I feel you. There's a module dedicated to PCOS. There's also a module dedicated to acne, because, if you're like me, I was put on hormonal birth control years before I needed it for contraceptive reasons, but instead for acne. And I have experienced some acne flares since stopping hormonal birth control. And I'll share with you what I've learned in this in this program as well. And then in addition to that, there's also a module dedicated to breast health and how to support your breast health and kind of what to expect when you're discontinuing hormonal birth control. There's also a module that will be, long story short, here's the deal. The program right now is $37. And why is it priced at that value right now? It is because I am actively developing the course content. So these are all modules that are released and available to you already. There's also a module that talks about how to track your hormones at home using a urinary monitor device in your own home. And this is highly beneficial when you are dealing with symptoms and you're not sure why. It really helps you kind of pinpoint what is going on in your cycle that is causing those symptoms. It's absolutely not necessary to start out. You can honestly avoid it entirely. It is just available for you if you want to go there. If you're a very data-driven person, that's included in the program already. In addition, what's already there is a module on PCOS, module on acne, and a module on breast health. Now, what is coming very soon, is planned next, is a module talking more specifically about UTIs and here, when I say UTIs, I mean recurrent UTIs and interstitial cystitis. That content will be released following the next podcast episode on July 28th on Holistic Wellness Podcast, where I share my own story about, my journey with recurrent UTIs and a near diagnosis with interstitial cystitis following discontinuation of hormonal birth control. In addition to that, the program, when it's complete, will also include a module around migraines, what hormonal imbalances or hormonal problems are contributing to migraines. And here you can kind of pinpoint when in your cycle your migraines are occurring and link that to which hormone is likely to be low. And so we'll talk about that as well in that module. So that is one that's planned. It's not available yet. In addition, there will also be a module around fertility and how to support your fertility in case that is the reason why you're considering stopping hormonal birth control now, because you're planning children in the future and you want to give your body, a washout period to get rid of these synthetic hormones. In addition, there are several other modules planned, including thyroid health, because so often I feel like we as women, when we've been using hormonal contraceptives for a period of time, thyroid conditions are often diagnosed. And so we'll talk about how to support your thyroid. There will also be a module around supporting your adrenals. And that one is planned. That one I'm still actively working on pulling together content. Now, you as an early adopter for this program and an early enrollee into this program have the very special advantage of not only being able to access all of this content, all the content that's currently available, all the content that will be added into the program, but also providing feedback on what else would be beneficial for you as you navigate stopping hormonal birth control, or as you consider stopping hormonal birth control. What is your biggest fear? So you're able to provide that over to hey@rainorganica.com. That's hey as in HEY at rainorganica.com. And that will be taken into consideration as we plan out all of what this course will entail and include. So you're again at a very special advantage for enrolling now. To sign up for this program, hit that link below and go over and claim your access at $37. All right, I'll see you inside.